Okay, let's try it again. Good afternoon. It's time for Bike Church. Hope you all have had an excellent day. Ms. Doris and I did. We went to Lifeline Church this morning and heard a guest speaker. And I've forgotten what his name. I think they said Bowen. Anyway, he's a very good speaker. We really enjoyed him. He talked about always was the title of the sermon, and part of what he talked about was the difference between joy and happiness. And he gave a real good explanation of the difference between joy and happiness, but he used this as an illustration, and that is stuck with me all day. Excuse me. Happiness is a thermometer, because it tells you, a thermometer tells you how hot or cold it is outside or inside. It gauges what's going on. Doesn't have any control over it. Joy is a thermostat, because it does control. You set your thermostat on 68 or 72 or 76 or whatever, and that thermostat controls the temperature in your home. And that's the way joy is. It's our choice to be content and be happy. And happiness, we're just happy when something happens. Somebody gives us a real pretty cake, or somebody pays for our lunch, or we run into friends we haven't seen in a while. Those are unexpected things. We don't have any control over them, but they make us happy. But joy, we can choose to have joy no matter what's going on outside of us. So I just thought that was an excellent illustration. And I did look up, found a picture and put it on Facebook and put that, because it was, and I want to be able to remember it. I love looking back at my memories from day to day, from different years. And so that's, excuse me, that'll be a way for me to keep up with it. So anyway, that has nothing to do with what I'm going to read you tonight. And I'm going to read you something very short. I'm going to read you Ephesians 6. The main part of what I want to read is later on, but I want you to hear all of this. The first section is titled Children and Parents. And again, this is Ephesians chapter 6. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, because this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise. And that this is the rest of it, so that it may go well with you, and that you may have a long life in the land. And I've talked about this before. I think we have put a curse on our children because we have not taught them to honor us and respect us. They don't have to love us, but children need to learn respect. We all need to respect, but we start when we're children. We respect our parents. You don't have to like what they do. You don't have to like who they are as a person, but you show them respect by not disrespecting them. I saw a video of a little girl the other day, she's 8 or 10 years old probably. She and her parents are at, I'm assuming, at some vendor event. And the little girl's sitting in one of the little folding chairs, and she's sitting there eating a candy bar, and she has this toy horse. It's a fairly good size. It would be something bigger than what Barbie would sit on, so that's your size, sitting in her lap. And her mama says, "Where'd you get that horse?" She said, "From that lady over there," and pointed to another booth. And she said, "How much was it?" And she said it was $20. And she said, "But you didn't have but $5. She said, "Oh, I got the money out of your purse." And her mama said, "You did what?" She said, "I got the money out of your purse." She said, "No, you don't do that. That was my money, and you don't do that without asking." She said, "You take that horse back over there and get your money back. Get my money back." And the little girl says, "No." And she said, "I said, take that horse back over there and get my money back." And the little girl looks at her and says, "No." And that's where the video ended. And I'm thinking, I don't even want to think. First of all, I would never, I would have no more gone in my mama's purse to get something without her expressly telling me to than I would have stuck my hand in a box full of snakes, because that was not my purse and I did not have permission to go in there. Now, I could go say, "Mama, can I get a piece of gum out of your purse?" And of course she would have said yes. Anything I did not have her permission. I knew better than to go in my mama's purse and get anything without asking first. I just wouldn't have even thought of it. It just blew my mind. And this little girl not only went in there, got the money, spent it, and then without asking, but then tell her mama no. And I'm thinking that I would have stopped filming too, because she would have been in big trouble. And I'm not going to say what I would have done if one of mine had done that, but they would have been in trouble, and they would not have kept the horse. That would have been at least some of the punishment. I don't know what else, but and the mama turned to the dad and told him what happened, and he was just as shocked as the mama was. But that's not one of those things that a child just starts doing all of a sudden. Not at 8 or 10 years old. They learn early on whether they can disrespect you or not. So that comes back to this: honor your father and your mother. And it goes without saying that other people too, but it starts with your parents, because they're the first ones that you have exposure to. Children don't need to disrespect anybody. They can speak their piece and disagree with what you're saying, but children do not need to learn to disrespect adults, because it says right there, honor your father and mother so it may go well with you and you may have a long life in the land. Be respectful. Okay. Verse 5, this is titled Slaves and Masters. Slaves, obey your human masters with fear and trembling, in the sincerity of your heart as you would Christ. Don't work only while being watched as people pleasers, but as slaves of Christ. Do God's will from your heart. Serve with a good attitude as to the Lord and not to people, knowing that whatever good each one does, slave or free, he will receive this back from the Lord. Okay, so this is not saying that God agreed with slavery. He was saying, in the situation you find yourself in, if you're a Christian, act like one, because it will have an influence on the people around you. Now that goes in this situation, it goes when you have a job to do. You need to always remember, no matter who signs your paycheck, you are working for Jesus. Because the things that you do, if you're a good worker, you're going to reflect well. If you try to act like you're a Christian, but you're constantly taking breaks when you're not supposed to, you're goofing off when nobody's there to keep an eye on you, all those things, people look at that and they say, that's why I don't want to hire Christians. Because you're the gauge by what they're going by. Whether if you're not acting like a real Christian, you're making it bad for everybody around you. Okay, back to verse 9. And masters, treat your slaves the same way, without threatening them, because you know that both their master and yours, is in heaven, and there is no favoritism with him. Now this next section is what I really wanted to talk to you about. And it's titled Christian Warfare. And if you're familiar with Ephesians, you know what's coming next. Verse 10, finally, be strengthened by the Lord and by his vast strength. Put on the full armor of God so that you can stand against the schemes of the devil. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, not people, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers of this darkness, against evil spiritual forces in the heavens. For this reason, take up the full armor of God, so that you may be able to resist in the evil day, and having prepared everything, to take your stand. Now, there's a saying about soldiers. They are taught to march till they're told to stand, and then they're taught to stand until they're told to march. In other words, do what you say, do what you're told to do. You keep marching. When they say march, you keep marching till they say stop. And then when they say stop, you stop until they tell you to move again. And that's a good lesson for us as Christians. We do what God tells us to, and then when he tells us to stop, we stop and let him work, because he knows what's going on more than we do. Verse 14, stand therefore with truth like a belt around your waist, righteousness like armor around your chest, and your feet sandaled with fear. Pray at all times in the Spirit with every prayer and request, and stay alert with all perseverance and intercession for all the saints. Pray also for me, that the message may be given to me when I open my mouth to make known with boldness the mystery of the gospel. For this I am an ambassador in chains. Pray that I might be bold enough to speak about it as I should. Now let me remind you about the scriptures about the armor. It says put on the full armor, put everything on. Don't go out. If you have to go out and work in high weeds and be cutting tree limbs down and stuff, you're going to wear shoes to protect your feet and your ankles. You're going to wear long pants, probably tuck them down in your boots or your socks to keep bugs, red bugs and things like that from getting in there and eating you up. And you're going to have a shirt on that will protect your chest and your arms, both from sun and from rubbing up against any poison. You're going to have everything on that you need. And that's the same way it is with our spiritual armor. And please notice, if you've never noticed this before, your spiritual armor covers the top of your head and the front of your body. Because God is at your back. God has your back. And as long as you're fighting, you're supposed to be facing the enemy, so your back is not available to him. If you turn and run, he can get it. But if you're facing the enemy like you're supposed to, he can't get to your back. So that's just something to think about. The last section is titled Paul's Farewell. Verse 21. Tychicus, our dearly beloved brother, let me reread that. Tychicus, our dearly loved brother and faithful servant in the Lord, will tell you all the news about me so that you may be informed. I am sending him to you for this very reason, to let you know how we are and to encourage your hearts. Peace to the brothers and sisters, and love with faith from God the Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Grace be with all who have undying love for our Lord Jesus Christ. Now that's the very end of Ephesians, and that's an excellent thing to read. Your assignment this week is to study the armor of God and make sure you put it on every day, not just when you think you might need it. Put it on every day. Because I can assure you that when you don't have it on, when you're not ready, that's when Satan's going to send something against you. He's going to anyway, but he is most assuredly going to send something at you if he thinks you're not prepared, because he wants to get you. I hope y'all have an excellent week. Excuse me. We are planning the Rutledge 4th of July parade and celebration. I'm helping my friend Lisa. She is spearheading this. And let me just tell you, she is a go-getter. She has gotten all kind of things planned. We're trying to get up with different fire departments in the area. Excuse me, I was scratching my leg. We're trying to get up with different fire departments in the area to come be in the parade. We've talked to bike clubs. We've messaged different churches. If you're interested, please let us know you want to come and join us. It's going to be excellent. We're going to have the parade, 4th of July. Lineup starts at 10, and the parade starts at 11. And I'm hoping we have a real big one. But whether we do or not, we're going to have a good time. Lisa has engaged several vendors to come. Some things will be free, and some things will be a charge. Look on the Facebook event, and it's the 4th of July, Rutledge 4th of July celebration, I think is how it's titled. But if you look up local events and look in Rutledge, you'll find it. I'm really excited about it. I'm hoping we're going to have a great turnout. We're going to allow small children, if they want to ride their riding toys, we're going to have them escorted, so to speak, by a truck pulling a trailer. So if they ride a couple of blocks, then they get tired, we're going to load that vehicle, their little riding toy, up on the trailer, and we're going to put them in the truck so they can keep going. We don't want anybody to have to quit because they got too tired. And I'm sure if the cab of the truck gets full of kids, we can stick them in other vehicles. But I hope y'all plan on coming and joining us. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have some food vendors and some activities, and It's just going to be a lot of fun. Great way for the community to get together. And if you want to help us in any kind of way, I think we can probably still use some volunteers to come do different things. We do have a little bit of law enforcement escort at the very beginning and at the end when we will actually be on Highway 10. The rest of the time we'll be in the neighborhoods going around so that we're not in heavy traffic. So anyway, I hope y'all have a great week. Join us this next week for Bike Church Sunday nights at 6. Love y'all, and I will see y'all next week.